Maybe this is you. Recently, you might have been feeling like video games have been less fun. You'll hop on a call, or maybe just play alone, and you'll think, oh, this really isn't even that fun. Like, there used to be this spark, this secret sauce that I loved about it, and then now I just don't even feel anything. Like, I'll finish a game and I just feel empty. Like, I feel like I have to move on to the next thing. So I think for a lot of people, there is this time, this point in life where video games just practically stop being fun. For those of you who haven't really gotten to that point, it just may happen soon. And for those of you who are maybe you're someone that you have hit this point, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're not, then I don't think there's too much value in you watching this. And the reason is that you're not going to find any of the things that I say very helpful towards improving your life. You're going to have to find your own self-improvement journey, because personally, I couldn't find it in a scenario where I found games fun. They're almost contradictory. But answering the question of why they lose fun is a bit harder. So I think there are three parts. Some people, they might have some of them more than others. Some of them might be bigger factors. So the first one, when time becomes a factor, as we get more and more busy, basically. The second one, when the lessons become obsolete. This is a more nuanced topic, but basically when the ideas of the game, the things you can learn, start to diminish over time. And then three, when you find a passion or a purpose, and it really diverts your attention from video games. So I think for a lot of us, as we got older, we got a lot busier. We have a school, and you go to college, and that's pretty normal. However, even as you get older, the passion for games kind of still stays there. Like, a lot of people will keep it even into their teen years. Like, they'll start when they're a kid, maybe like preteen, and then teen, and then maybe even adults, right? They'll keep the passion for games. As you start to get older, you obviously get a lot more busy, right? You have more responsibilities to deal with. And I think this does factor in a little bit to finding video games less fun, because you almost realize that you have more important responsibilities, and it makes you prioritize some important things more. But this is a pretty small topic. I think the next one is much more important, being the lessons that you will learn become a lot more obsolete, maybe obvious, maybe less valuable. So outside of like the enjoyment you get, let's look at the specific things that you can gain from playing. It's a bit of a weird way to think about it, but I think it really helps us understand the lessons becoming obsolete. So the first idea, maybe like a single player game, if you play a strategy game or a game that is revolving around its story, a lot of the stories that you hear, like the things you can learn within the stories, almost become less valuable over time as you hear more and more stories. I think a lot of the stories that you can hear about in a video game are quite lackluster. Maybe this is entirely opinion based, but I think if you wanted to hear a good story and learn some things from that story, I think reading a book would be a much better way to approach it, right? Because you can hear a better story usually. Like, authors can write better stories in books because, there's more words that they can use. They can be more specific. They can allude to things. Whereas in a video game, the stories have to be reduced a bit so that you don't like get lost, or you have to follow along. And this is kind of my point, is that all of the things that you can learn in a video game, they're all also things you can learn from other things. So obviously books, you could learn ideas from stories, right? You can learn from books and video games, but books you'll always be able to learn it in a better, more nuanced way. And then for a multiplayer game, which people will say, oh, the benefit of playing Valorant for 3 hours is to learn communication, teamwork, all this kind of stuff. But if you want to learn about communication and teamwork, and you want to improve those skills, well, first of all, why? Presumably it's for a functional reason. That you don't just do it for fun. You would do it because being a good leader, being a good communicator is a valuable skill. Maybe at a workplace, or if you're like a business owner or something, right? That's a useful skill. But in that scenario, why don't you just learn communication skills in another way? You could learn to talk to people by speaking to physical people rather than playing a game. And even for the things that video games can teach you, like, for example, in a single player game, a story can teach you the hardships a character faces, and maybe it'll inspire you, for example, right? That's really about it. Like, once you've played the game, there is often way less that you can learn if you replay it. Which is why in a book, if you reread a book, you'll often find things that you didn't think about the first time. There's a lot of things you probably learned the second time. So I'll give an example about what I mean about the nuance and depth that you can learn from something. So I've been boxing for a little while now, and I can tell you, well, for one thing, like the first day you walk in the gym, one of the first things that they'll have you do is you'll be shadow boxing, probably, before you start like sparring someone or even hitting the bag. Your coach will tell you, this is how you throw the jab, and then have you throw your jab. They'll give you a couple pointers. Realistically speaking, your jab isn't going to be perfect, right? I think that's actually part of the beauty that comes with a sport, for example, right? Is that there is so much to learn. If you throw the jab for the first time, it's probably not going to be good. Like your first ever punch is probably not going to be as good as it would be if you train for a year. Obviously it wouldn't. And there's a lot to learn. You have to use a lot of attention to detail to really, really perfect your jab. And when you start boxing for the first time, you'll probably do like a good amount of the punches that you'll use for the rest of the time that you spend boxing. You'll probably keep using those same punches. Like you'll learn the 1 and then the 2 and then a left hook, like a slip, kind of move your head a bit, learn some footwork. Those are all the basic ideas, but it's a sport that's pretty built on the fundamentals, right? And then the fundamentals get more and more nuanced, which is unlike a video game. Let's take for example a single player game. You play it, and then you learn the skill, you beat the game, and then there's not much else to learn. You learn all the lessons that there is in the game, you learn all the ideas. It affects your thinking maybe, but once you get to a certain point, you complete it, which I think is the issue. I think the difference between that and like a sport, for example, is that you can never just complete the sport. You can never just be done. There's always something new to learn. And even in the case of books, because books, you reread it and there's more value. You learn something new every time you read it. This is probably the most important one. Eventually, if you were like the gamer kid, like among your friends, among your school, you were the gamer kid. Everyone knew you because you played a lot of games. That was like your thing, right? So you'll want to start doing things outside of playing more games. And then when you try them, when you do new things, you pursue your purpose, you'll be more inspired to even try other things. There's going to be a point where your life kind of just starts. Like you have a goal, you eventually find some kind of purpose, and that leads you into thinking that video games are less fun because you clearly have this one purpose that you need to commit to. It's not like a purpose that you sacrifice your time playing video games. It's just that you would rather pursue that purpose instead of playing video games. It's just more fun. You get more out of it. And that is literally what you think about practically all day, right? You think about, this is how we get closer to my purpose. Once you have, first of all, identified what a purpose could be, maybe what your purpose is, that's when you kind of stop enjoying video games. It's not in a way like, oh, I found out my purpose, and because of that, I have to give up Valorant. Like, I think Valorant is, like, really fun, but, like, I'd rather achieve my purpose. It's not really like that. It's more like, it's like, why would I even ever touch Valorant again if I could just work towards my purpose? It's so much more fulfilling. It's so much more satisfying. So much more to learn. You can grow so much more as a person. Whereas playing a stupid shooter game online doesn't really give you those same benefits. You don't learn anything. Okay, so these three things being, 1, time as you get older, and then 2, nuance in the lessons, kind of losing their charm, and then 3, finding a purpose. All of these things kind of, they contribute to a distinct lack of enjoyment of games. And eventually, one day you'll just think, wow, this just isn't really that fun. Like, I just don't get that much enjoyment out of it. And some people will think this is a bad thing, like there's something wrong with them. But I think if you're in that stage, it's actually the best stage to be in right before choosing to start these self-improvement habits, because that's the point where you're a little bit dissatisfied with your life. Maybe you have some regrets. Maybe you wish you studied more or worked harder or done something instead of playing video games. And then you suddenly start finding them less fun. And that's when you move on. It's not when you try to, oh, I'll take a break and then come back to it, or oh, I'll maybe I just need to try a new game. You don't need to try a new game. If that was what was going to work, it would have already worked. And I've been there, like buying a bunch of games on Steam in hopes that it would like fix me, make me go back to normal. It didn't work. So some people think that not liking video games anymore is a good thing. Like I would think that. A lot of people would think it's a bad thing because they think there's something wrong with them, since it's so important to their identity. How you ultimately feel about it depends on you. And I mentioned, yeah, you really should just choose a new life with a better lifestyle and enjoy the feeling of not liking it. Enjoy the feeling of being liberated that you do not enjoy video games. It's a blessing, not a sacrifice.